All right. Well, all right. Welcome, parents of junior high athletes. Um, this is the recap of the track meeting tonight that we just had. I was going to use video directly from the meeting, but it really the audio wasn't too great. So I'm going to give you a real quick recap of what we talked about tonight. All right. Um, Really, what we kind of did first off, I kind of had a soapbox about why track is awesome, and it is. That's about what we're gonna do on this recap. But if you don't think so, give me the next 5 6 weeks, and hopefully I can prove you wrong on that one. Um, this week at the school, we will do everything at school. So it's still we're gonna start at 7:45. If you've been bringing your daughter to the McGraw gym or your son to the field house, keep doing it. We're gonna do it the rest of the week. All right, and we'll be evaluating. So on a lot of our runners, we'll be doing a testing for the 100, and later on, probably on Friday, test the 400 at the field. Okay. This week is not end all be all. It does not hard cut. If we want to, I say force in the best way possible. We want to highly encourage our all athletes to try out track in some form or fashion if they're not playing tennis. Um, and So what we'll do is you don't have a hard cut. I'll just meet individually with those students and say, hey man, you're probably not gonna be able to go to a track meet or be able to make a track meet. You want to still work out here? You're more than welcome. If not, you can go to the field house or go to the McGraw gym for off season. All right, and we'll do those individually throughout the end of this week or early on next week. All right. If you haven't been talked to, if your student hasn't been talked to about that, then they're gonna just keep on coming to track. Right? Just because you practice doesn't mean you make the meet. And this is ever evolving. Okay, the couple things that determine if you go to a track meet are first off your attitude and your effort. I don't care if you scored a billion points last year. Not going to take none of your coaches are going to want to take you if your attitude or effort are bad. And if your effort's not good week to week, um, then we're going to take someone else. So even if you went the week before, everything's constantly changing. Someone's always getting better. And so it's constantly evolving. One of my favorite JJ Watt quotes I talked about tonight was success isn't owned, it's leased, and rent is due every day. So if your student had a really good week and they made a track meet and the next week they just didn't try at all, it doesn't mean that they're going to the track meet. Other one on going to track meets, eligibility. Since we only have a 5 week season, we only have 5 track meets. So if they're gone for 3 weeks of it, they're ineligible for 3 weeks, then we can't really have them out there. So if they're ineligible, I'm just going to send them to the field house and McGraw gym. Once they're eligible again, they can come back. But we really need, everybody wants to be dependent on out there. We need dependable people. And my next point, track. Yes, there are individual aspects of it, but it is just a team sport like any other sport we have at Midland Christian. I don't care if it's golf or swimming or whatever it is. You could say it's an individual sport, but it goes towards points towards your team because our goal is to win track meets. All right. Um, Next, big thing with practices. So if your student athlete wants to keep on going with track or whatever, and back to my conversation about sending people to the field house and McGraw gym, if they tell me, Coach Counts, I really like track, I think I can get better, we're all for it. I want you to keep you out there. All right. If they're just aching to get out of it, then yeah, we'll send them on their way. All right. The next week is when we start practice at Trinity, and we are so thankful to have Trinity this year. So our high school doesn't have to go to Garden City twice a week. Saves on that, but we will have it for junior high as well. So in the mornings, every morning, um, you need to take your student to the school and drop off all their bags, either the McGraw gym or the field house. So the boys obviously at the field house, girls in the McGraw gym. Um, specifically would be helpful in the locker rooms for the boys, girls, wherever y'all put them in the McGraw gym, whether that be the locker room or in the front foyer, I believe. And then you'll take your student athlete to Trinity. All right. If you're running behind, I understand you can drop your student off at Trinity and then throw their bag over there. The main reason we don't like to have them take their bag to the track is because then we're going to bus them over to the school to go shower before school at 8:45 around then. And so if everyone's having bags and stuff, there's no room on those buses because they will be full to the brim every time we move over there. All right. That's the main reason for that. That will be the hardest part on next Monday. So hopefully all the people that missed due to the basketball game, cheer meeting, all those different things that kind of piled on this day, that is probably the biggest thing. So all you 8th grade parents that you have it figured out, well, 90% of it you have figured out from last year, except that one little thing. So hopefully Monday will be smooth. So when you drop off your kid on Monday at the track, then you'd be there before 7:30. 7:30 will be a new time next week. This week still like you did today. And you're going to turn right at the Trinity track. So if you're going down, you're going west on Wally toward Academy, you're going to take the first right before the Trinity track. So that's kind of looks like an alleyway. It's not. It's really their parking lot for that area. So from that, you'll go and drive all the way down. And I made the parents tonight repeat me all the way down, and then drop them off at the gate, where you'll see a coach there and everything. Don't park and have your kisses at the gym or whatever. Just send them on their way. I don't care if you shove them out. Don't shove them out, but send them on their way out the door on the gate, and then just drive through. You're gonna drive through the alleyway and then take a right, and then you'll end up back on Midkiff there. So it'd be kind of a natural loop. The reason we harp on this one is really because we don't want to back up traffic on Wadley. So that first day I'll probably be a little rude and try to push cars, keep going. Next thing is, if it's a little cold out, and you want your child to stay in until 7:30 exactly until we start, that's not going to be good, because then we'll still have people backing up. So if it's 7:20 plus, you probably push your kid out the door, metaphorically, and so they can get on the track and get moving, get ready to go. All right. So what they need to bring to track, all right, are sweats every day. We wear sweats every day. It's always cold in the morning. Doesn't matter if it's going to be 70 that day. In the morning, it's going to be pretty cold. So then you have sweats, hoodie, and sweats every day. Then you have running shoes every day. Pretty simple. They need to eat something before they come to track, and they need to drink water. They cannot complete the workout if they don't have the fuel to do it. Other sports, I in football could do this, or basketball, whatever I was playing, I could kind of get away with what I ate, and not really be cognizant of it all. But when it came to track, it was a lot different. And if I didn't have the right stuff, I wasn't going to be able to complete the workout because my body was just running off bad fuel. All right. One thing I love telling the kids is can't put kerosene in a race car. And all of our athletes are all race cars, jet engines. So it takes special fuel. When it comes to spikes, we have a deal with Midland Athletic Company. If you want to buy spikes there or shoes or whatever, if you're a Midland Christian athlete, you can get a 10% discount. It's a little bit more expensive than Academy or Dick's, but it is a higher quality shoe. With spikes, I would hold off to purchase spikes, especially 7th grade, because you don't know where you're going to fit. So if you're long distance, you usually don't need spikes. The only people that need spikes are maybe 100 through 400 and jumpers. You don't really need spikes for long distance. And throwers, we don't really need you to have the special throwing shoes until high school. So I would hold off, and then once we figure out kind of where you lie, you can go get spikes. We rarely use spikes for practice. Either like right before meet, we'll do block starts and a couple things. For jumping, we need spikes. But early on, we will not be using spikes very often. All right. So use your discretion. Um, the way we train quality, not a lot of quantity, on the simple things, and we want to get those extremely right. Back in the day, I'm sure a lot of y'all in track got a really bad rap for a long time because they just say, "Hey, just go run circles," um, which at the end of the day might get you faster, but it doesn't really like make you like track that much. So what we want to do is we want to do limited reps and do them 100 miles an hour and get better from that. But it does take a lot of maturity on the athlete's point to um, to do it right. You got to be mentally engaged for those 3, 4, 5 reps um, for it to actually work when they need to do that. So we've been talking about that a lot this week. All right. Discus and shot. If your athlete wants to throw discus or shot, he can try that. He or she can try that out this week with Coach Sparacino. And the way discus and shot work, they will throw shot at Trinity, so they'll do the same thing. Twice a week, they'll be throwing discus at a church that I'm blanking on the exact church. Our high school throws at it. They have a discus ring out there. But we'll coordinate that specifically with those students, whether or not they need to drop their kid off at the church. And then Coach Sparacino, every time, will take them in a van to school so they can get showered and all that stuff before school. So he will deal with that. So if you're a thrower or of any sort, just hold off on understanding when they need to go to church. You're going to Trinity until you're told otherwise. Okay. Main big question that I get every year, and it's all the time, and I've got to stay on top of it, is the freeze question. So if it is freezing outside, do we have practice? Okay. Well, if it's freezing at 7:30 and on the forecast, I just use the Apple one. If it's freezing at it's 32 degrees at 7:30, at 7:45 it's going to be 33. We're going to have practice, and I'll over communicate that to y'all the day before, whether we will or will not have practice. Now, if it's going to be 29 till 9 o'clock, no, we're not going to have practice. We'll have it. You'll take your daughter to the McGraw, your son to the field house. All right. But if I was going to do a thing where it was like, oh, it may be freezing at some point and cancel practice every time, we would never have practice. Now we still practice and we'll be in the gym and doing other stuff when we have to go to the field house in McGraw and be getting better that way and more technical stuff, but we would never get enough work on the track. All right. Day after the meet is very specific to that meet. So if we're gone and we get back at 1 o'clock in the morning, it's a long meet or it's far away. Most meets, UIL, you can't start the 4x4, which is the last event, after 10 o'clock. It's UIL rule, and most of the track meets we're at are UIL, and so we'll be done at least by 10:30 every time. So on those Thursday track meets. Now, saying that, we might be further distance away, so getting back might be later than usual. If it's super late, I'll send out an email saying just go to chapel, get ready, be right there at 9 o'clock, ready to go to chapel. All right, go to the field house, McGraw gym, ready. If not, I'll say, all right, report back at 8 a.m. at the field, and we'll do some kind of recovery. So we're always going to do some kind of recovery that day if we can, if we got back in time. But we're not going to go to the field, to Trinity, after a track meet. We are thankful for Trinity to have us again this year. We really want to be mindful of trash, anything left out. We want to keep that relationship great with them. When it comes to, also, I want to say, when it comes to track meet, you have to stay until your last event is over, and then you can leave. I encourage you to stay and cheer on your teammates, but you need to stay and encourage your student. You need to stay to your last event. So if you don't know the order of events, hopefully you have a T-shirt you got from Amanda Friday that on the back has the list of events. That's really for me, so I don't go crazy for everyone to ask me, hey, coach, when's the 100? Okay, when's this? It's the same every week kind of thing. But once their event is over, so I'll post entries on Tuesday, Wednesday-ish, depending on the track meet, on when they need them in, and according to eligibility that week. And they look at that list, and if they can't make it, like, coach, I'm going to have to leave by 9 for a soccer or whatever. But they don't tell that to me. I'm counting on them. The rest of their teammates are counting on them. And I'm going to have to look at if I want to take the athlete to the next track meet. All right. I usually don't have an issue with this. I had an issue with this like my first year because I didn't really clarify it and people didn't know how long track meets went. For some of you newer parents, it's pretty simple. You'll usually start track meet at 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and the first things that happen are field events and the 1500 meter for the junior high. High school, it's a 2 mile, whatever. But we'll be doing field events the most time. Most time, high jump is the reason why everything goes a little bit longer, and they push it back a little bit. And then the first thing to start the field events that kind of starts off the end of a track meet, which is the middle of the track meet, is the 4x100 relay. Once that starts, we'll be on a rolling time, and that list on that T-shirt is a list of how the events are going to go that day. And it depends on how fast they run the meet. Some meets are really well run. Some meets are not, and they're trying to get better at it. What your student needs to bring to the meet. They need to bring their shirt that they bought from Miss Friday, and then also their black sweats. I believe they have in players package. If they didn't get one in players package, all I want is just plain black sweats. It's pretty simple. You can find those. All right, and then their spikes if necessary. All right, it's pretty simple. Last couple of things. Snacks. We do need donation of snacks to take with them. So I think Coach Davis Knight said Cheez-Its or Chex Mix or whatever. Don't go over the top. Doesn't have to be the most healthy thing. Don't buy a billion things of Cliff Bars because that's really expensive. But something decently healthy, give them energy to keep going. All right. I'd stay away from like honey buns and donuts and such. We don't need that. And then when it comes to track meets from week to week, I'll be sending out an itinerary and so forth. All right. Of what's going to happen, how the track meet's going to run, because each track meet's kind of run specifically to them on timing wise and so forth. And I'll try to get that information out to y'all as fast as I can. One thing I do ask is you talk to your athlete about track meet maturity level. Okay, so this is one thing I wanted to talk about tonight was track meet. Track is awesome because it's super intense for a little amount of time, and the rest of the time you're hanging out with your friends, you're encouraging your teammates, and it's a really good experience. It's great for me. I get to know students in a little more relaxed environment. It's a really fun time for me as a coach, and I think it's for them. But with that little bit more time, it takes maturity because if they're idle and they're not, doing what they're supposed to do, it can get away from them. So I'd ask you have that conversation with your child. I'm trying to think of any other questions I had tonight. The biggest one I'm worried about for those that missed is the situation next week with going to Trinity. So if you have any questions about that, please reach out and I'll be sure to try to help you out with that. All right. Well, I am excited for this track season. Again, please call me or anything if you have any questions, and cannot wait for this year to begin. All right. Bye, guys.